Hi, it's Victoria Ely with another episode of Teachers Talk. This is Adventure Education. So one of the things that is always a hot topic is, what are some of the pet peeves that go on in your classroom? Like, some people actually ask, what do students do that kind of get under your skin? And there's a lot of things that kids do because they're kids, so they're going to do things. Their frontal lobes are just not fully developed. We love the fact that they're mature, but they still make bad decisions. And sometimes these are things that happen in your classroom, but there are some things that you can do as well when these things come up or the pet peeves come up. But you have to know your students, you have to know your school demographics and things like that. So everything doesn't work for everybody. So these pet peeves, they may not be what you go through, but most of us, we deal with this on a regular basis. So you have to have a plan in place for when they come up. So let's get to it. Number one, you have just finished your lesson. You have just given out the instructions and you have that student that says, what are we doing? It is the one that just blows my mind. But remember, you have students who have attention deficit disorder. You have students who are going through things and they're daydreaming or they're, traumatically thinking about things that's going on in their personal life. Those things we understand. And you understand and get to know your students. But that student who you saw talking while you was doing the lesson, or you saw not paying attention, or you saw trying to do other things while you were doing the lesson, I'm talking about that student. The one that just is not paying attention for the sake of not paying attention. So what are you supposed to do when that happens? You can do several things. One, you can have it up on the board. You can have the instructions on the board of what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, when is it due, all of those things. Or you can do a handout where, okay, here's our lesson for today, here's our activity, and here is what you're supposed to turn in. And also you can do the Acts 2 before me or Acts 3 before me. And I will put that one at the end of the list, because if you're asking 2 or 3 people, you're disrupting them from getting started because they were paying attention. So that student who asked that question, the best thing that you can do is have the instructions up on the board and tell them the instructions are on the board. Now, if they still have questions or they don't understand something, that's another level of support. So you just provide that assistance to them in that way. Number 2, I was absent. Did we do anything? Now, I have had students who've been absent a whole week and they come back and say, did I miss anything? Or what I need to make up? And I'm like, it is so much that you missed. Like, we are here 90 minutes today. And yes, you missed something. You missed a lot. You missed probably 180 minutes of instruction, sometimes 360 minutes of instruction. So it just depends on what schedule you have and how often they're absent. But what should you do when that student is absent and they want to know what they missed? You need to utilize your learning management system like Canvas or Google Classroom, something so that you can have your assignments posted there. Even if all of the materials are not posted there, because maybe you gave something out in class, you should at least have your grade book set up to where students know that they may have an assignment coming up that they missed. The other way they know they missed something is you put that 0 in. And that 0 is one of those things that says, oh yeah, I was absent. Let me go find out what I need to do. Because if you leave it blank thinking they're going to come to you, a lot of times they don't. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind for most students when they're absent. But when they do come and ask you, did we do anything? That's the pet peeve. But to prepare for that response or prepare for that answer, then make sure you have your assignments posted somewhere where they have access. Number 3, you have students packing up 10 minutes before the bell. And yes, that is a pet peeve, especially if you have people still working quietly or you're still in the middle of giving some type of instruction. Even if it's not lecture, you could be giving some direction for something else and they just start packing up things. I will stop what I'm doing to address that person packing up and just simply say, we are not leaving just yet. So what can you do to avoid that happening? Because once one person does it, then it starts a chain reaction. So bell-to-bell instruction is what could avoid students packing up early, because they're still working all the way to the end. Whatever it is, you've planned it that way. And that is key to lesson planning, making sure that you have planned for more than the time that they have, because you'll always have that student who will work fast, but you also will have that student who will work fast and they'll start talking to other people. So having bell-to-bell instruction is always critical to avoid students packing up early and interrupting and disrupting the class. Number 4, that student that claimed they turned something in. Now, sometimes we make mistakes and we have to go and correct that grade that we may have put in because they may have turned it in. But for the most part, you have to do your due diligence. You have to have a system in place for how you collect work. That is how you avoid losing work, and how this student who says they turned in the work and the grade you gave them was wrong. If you have that system in place, 9 times out of 10, they did not turn it in. But you have to do your due diligence with planning and also being organized to avoid losing assignments. Because I've heard many teachers, students say a teacher has lost their work. And the only way that doesn't happen is if you're organized. And you will know if somebody turns something in or not because you're that organized when you're collecting work. And last but not least, the culprit of them all, pet peeves, is asking to use the bathroom as soon as they walk in. And I have a procedure for this. It's called the Tintin rule. No restrooms in the first 10 minutes or the last 10 minutes of class. I learned that from middle school and I've carried it into high school. If you passed the restroom on your way here on your 4 minute of passing, you should have gone to the restroom before you came in. And of course, they always say, well, I didn't have to go then. Then I'm like, then you can wait the time. It's not going to be long, but you still cannot allow them to drop their stuff off and then leave, because now they're going to be tardy because the time that they could have been using to go to the restroom, they're going to be in there and the bell will ring. So I always have a procedure for things like that so that everybody knows that I'm being fair and consistent with everyone. Once you come in, you got to stay. And once you're in and you need to go somewhere, you have to wait at least 10 minutes. And if all teachers implemented a plan like this, we would stop this pet peeve. And I know there's students who have certain medical IEPs and 504s that require them to go at any time. I'm not talking about those students. I'm also not talking about students who have education plans and have extra time and accommodations. I'm not talking about those students creating the pet peeves. I'm talking about the ones who know. They know the rules a lot of times, but they just see if they can break them or they can slide by this one time. But once you do it for one, the others are going to expect it. So you have to be mindful of how you are making some concessions when you have put a policy in place. So these are the top 5 that I have for today. And I'm pretty sure most teachers deal with these pet peeves. But what I said in the beginning, you need a classroom management plan. You need to make sure you have procedures in place so that you can avoid some of these repeated pet peeves happening in your class. And at the end of the day, the goal is student success. That's going to be my answer to everything. Student success. If they're in the classroom, they're learning. If they are given the assignment, even if they wasn't listening, they're learning. If they are given bell-to-bell instruction, they're learning all the way to the end. So if your goal is student achievement, then you have to plan that on your end, and it is your responsibility to make sure that your students are achieving. And I don't know any other way to say that, because classroom management is one of the most important things in this business, because it's what allows you to actually teach the students. So any questions you have about pet peeves or how to set up your classroom management plan, you can leave me a message in the comments and I will gladly share with you how I've been able to be successful with student achievement and also my classroom management tactics and strategies and techniques. All of the above have been successful. So let me know what you think in the comments. Have a great day.